I'd like to talk today about nature and grace and about how these two things coincide in the wonderful Easter season. Nature and grace. We see life and new life in this season. The resurrection of Jesus Christ is reflected in the return of life in the spring, and that's not a coincidence. In the third chapter of Acts, we have one of the early Christian sermons that Peter delivers in Solomon's portico. And he talks in that sermon about the time of refreshing that comes from God with the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And he also goes on to talk about what follows as a consequence, a time of universal restoration that will be inaugurated by the return of Christ in glory. And here we see Peter calling upon the whole notion of development in time and also the notion of the renewal of all things, universal restoration, refreshing. I'd like to share with you a piece from the English poet Gerard Manley Hopkins. The world is charged with the grandeur of God. It will flame out like shining from shook foil. It gathers to a greatness like the ooze of oil crushed. Why do men then now not wreck his rod? Generations have trod, and all is seared with trade, bleared, smeared with toil, and wears man's smudge and shares man's smell. The soil is bare now, nor can foot feel being shod. And for all this, nature is never spent. There lives the dearest freshness deep down things. And so the poet goes on, Gerard Manley Hopkins, writing in the 19th century. Hopkins is sending us back into the world of nature and recounting how nature has developed and how it's become soiled, he uses that word, how it's become worn and soiled. But yet there lives the dearest freshness deep down things. That principle of God's creation and recreation in Jesus Christ through his death and resurrection. This truly is the time of refreshing that comes from God that Peter preaches about in Acts. This is truly that time of refreshing, the time of universal restoration that comes through the return of Christ in glory. Nature and grace coming together in this season. New life of Jesus Christ through his death and resurrection, the life that God gives us in creation, renewed and refreshed in Jesus' resurrection.